good afternoon, good evening. This is for Throwback Thursday, and I've been speaking about my favourite TV programmes, going to speak about favourite films in the future, and I've been talking about my favourite albums, music albums. Now, I'm a hypnotherapist. I'm also a future life practitioner. That means I help people see their future and what they can do to learn from that to get there. And also, I'm a past life regressionist specialist. Try and say that when you're drunk. So anyway, that's one of my things. So one of the TV shows I think has been some of the best stuff in the last 20 years, it's probably especially the last 10, 15 years, is a show called Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is an American crime drama created and produced by Vincegilligan. And it's set and filmed in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the series follows a man called Walter White, who's an underpaid, overqualified and dispirited high school chemistry teacher who is struggling with a recent diagnosis of stage 3 lung cancer. So when you've done that thing and you've got that stage 3 lung cancer, what do you think people would go into? Well, Walter White decides to turn to a life of crime and partners with a former student called Jesse Pinkman. And theirs is to produce and distribute methamphetamine or crack to secure his family's financial future before he dies, while navigating the dangers of the criminal underworld. Breaking Bad premiered in 2008 and it concluded in 2013 after 5 seasons. So among the show there is many different people in the show. There is Anna Gunn, who plays Skylar, Walter's wife. The son is RJ Mitter, who's Walter Jr. You've got then Skylar's sister, and then that's with Dean Norris, who is Hank, who's the DEA agent. You've also got Walter's and Jesse's lawyer, Saulgoodman, who gets them out of certain things. Jonathan Banks is the private investigator, who is Mike Ehrmantraut. And then you've got also Gus Fring, who's a drug kingpin. So the final season includes a few other criminal, ambitious people and how that works. So Breaking Bad, one of the things why Breaking Bad is such a good show, because actually the first season was quite underwhelming and a lot of people, it had good positive reviews, but a lot of people struggled to get into it. It was a little bit slow at first. But by the end of the conclusion, people loved it. And it was when it was made available globally to Netflix, it did very well. One of the things which is very good about Breaking Bad is the camera work. I mean, the camera work and the cinematography is excellent. It is high level. The writing is excellent. And the one thing is, we've always got this conflict of the idea of this guy who is a very intelligent person, lost a lot of money for a business person through creating a chemical, actually working with someone pharmaceutical, and he was stolen all these ideas and ended up being this disenchanted high school chemistry teacher. And then he transforms, as you see as the plot arc, where he trues into a kingpin in the local meth drug game. And though he's driven to provide for his family financially, he initially only wanted to make small batches of meth, but once it starts making so much money, it creates high demand. And then because of the drug related activities, Walter is in a conflict because his brother-in-law Hank is now trying to work out who it is, and also the Mexican drug cartels is putting his family at risk. So all in this time you've got this conflict of good and bad, but you know that the main character is only trying to provide money because he knows he's going to pass. So there's this conflict always going on all the time in the show. And I think why this show is so good in the last few years is because with most things, you like the protagonists we had in Sopranos and we had in Oz were very much criminals straight away. But Walter White's initial idea is actually to do something where he is good and he's done the right thing, but to get the money, he has to do evil and bad criminal activities. And I think this is also how we feel as human beings, is we're in this inner conflict of ourselves. And because of that, I feel that when these shows pin onto points of ideas of where this is going, and I think it also carried on from the idea that they knew drugs would work as a TV show, was the success of a show called Weeds. Now, Weeds was a good TV show the first 2 seasons, but it kind of dwindled out and got a bit stupid and overcomplicated and got a bit silly, whereas Breaking Bad is very much centred and put together. And I think also, AMC, which was the TV production company, was like HBO. They took risks. And actually Breaking Bad had a lot of different. I mean, Fox network could have taken them up. Also, AMC was having adding Mad Men as well. So again, these very much new ideas, new themes going on, and I think it was to try and better these ideas as much as possible. The other thing as well with these shows is once you actually understand about them, you start seeing the moral consequences, and that was the idea of actions have consequences was always the thing in the show. And like I said, when you compare that, the difference between The Sopranos and The Wire and so forth is that we knew what them people were doing wrong, whereas actually this morality idea is always on the trigger of where you think what Walter White is doing, is it moral or not, because what he's trying to do is help for his family. His devotion to his family is probably actually one of his downfalls as well. And then also the other thing as well, which also causes Walter White's tragic character arc, is his pride. Because the idea of that he's worked so hard and he's done the right things before, but he never got the benefit of it. So basically with that, then over time, with this, we see this idea of he has got to try and change the arc, and hopefully he can redeem the criminality he's doing because he's helping support his family. The only issue is with that is because how his family are going to find out what he does in the end, and will that help him with the relationship between his family, because that's disintegrating. So again, there's a lot of things. There's been criticism, people have accused of it, of law enforcement and the legal community of normalising or glorifying meth creation and usage, but actually I think what it does, it shows actually in the show that actually with this is that you can't create criminal activities without the consequences. And I suppose in the whole thing of how the show ends and where it goes is that in the end you've got to work out whether you feel sorry for Walter White or you actually decide that what he's done is wrong. And I think that's the moral high ground you either take or you sympathise with. And I think that's what makes it a good show. And I personally don't think there's been many TV shows after it which have even competed. So Breaking Bad to me, last 15 years, probably one of the best TV shows. I think it's great for people who work in direction, people who work in arts, and also plot devices and characterisation. The characters in this are very deep. And Bryancranston, who plays Walter White, I think is an excellent actor. And the thing is, if you'd actually seen him what he was in Malcolm in the Middle, you'd never think he was the same person. That's what makes it so great. So anyway, Breaking Bad, that's talking about that.